Today, I want to talk about something that many people search for, but very few truly develop: being secure in oneself. We live in a time where comparison has become almost unavoidable. Everywhere we look, we see other people's achievements, appearance, lifestyle, or success. We see carefully selected images and stories that seem to say that everyone else has it all together. It can make a person wonder, am I enough? Am I doing well enough? Do I measure up? Because of that pressure, many people try to build their sense of worth on things that are unstable: appearance, popularity, money, status, or the approval of others. But those things are always changing. Trends change, opinions change, circumstances change. If a person's confidence is built only on those things, their sense of security will constantly rise and fall. True security is something different. Being secure in oneself means having a steady sense of who you are and what you stand for. It means your sense of worth does not depend on constant praise or approval from others. A secure person may appreciate encouragement, but they do not require it in order to feel valuable. A person who is secure understands their strengths, but they are also honest about their weaknesses. They do not pretend to be perfect. In fact, one of the most powerful signs of security is the ability to admit when you are wrong or when you need to grow. Insecure people often try to hide their weaknesses or deny their mistakes because they feel those things threaten their identity. But secure people understand something important. Making a mistake does not define who you are. It simply becomes an opportunity to learn. Think about some of the most respected people you have ever known. Often they are not the loudest or the most boastful. In fact, many of them are quiet, calm, and steady. They don't feel the need to constantly prove themselves. Their confidence is not fragile. True security is quiet. It does not need to brag. It does not need to dominate every conversation. It does not need to constantly seek recognition. A secure person can walk into a room and simply be themselves. Another powerful sign of security is the ability to celebrate other people's success. When someone is insecure, another person's success can feel like a threat. They may compare themselves, feel jealous, or try to diminish the other person's accomplishment. They recognize those feelings, but they do not surrender to them. So the question becomes, how do we develop this kind of security? The first step is self-awareness. A person must be willing to look honestly at themselves. That means recognizing both strengths and weaknesses without exaggerating either one. Some people underestimate themselves and ignore their strengths. Others exaggerate their abilities and ignore their weaknesses. True security comes from balance, seeing yourself clearly. The second step is to stop measuring your worth through constant comparison. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to destroy peace of mind. There will always be someone who is more successful, more talented, more experienced, or more recognized. But your value as a person is not determined by how you rank against others. Each individual has different abilities, different circumstances, and different paths in life. When people stop comparing and begin focusing on growth, they often experience a new sense of freedom. But someone who is secure in themselves sees things differently. They understand that another person's success does not reduce their own worth. There is no need to compete with everyone around them. Instead of jealousy, they can feel genuine happiness for others. This kind of attitude builds stronger relationships because people feel safe around someone who is secure. They know that person is not secretly competing with them or measuring themselves against them. Security also allows a person to live according to their values. If someone is constantly seeking approval from others, they will often adjust their behavior to match whatever the crowd expects. Their opinions and decisions may change depending on who they are trying to please. But when someone is secure in who they are, their values become their compass. Even when opinions around them shift, they remain steady because their identity is rooted in something deeper than public approval. Of course, this does not mean that secure people never experience doubt. Everyone has moments where they question themselves. Everyone experiences insecurity at times. The difference is that secure people do not allow those moments to control their identity or determine their direction. The third step is focusing on growth rather than perfection. Perfection is an impossible standard. If someone believes they must be flawless to feel confident, they will constantly feel insecure. But when a person focuses on growth, mistakes become part of progress rather than proof of failure. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to become wiser and stronger. Security grows when people recognize that life is a process of development. Another important aspect of security is integrity. When a person lives in harmony with their values, their inner life becomes more stable. They know they are doing their best to live honestly and consistently. That alignment between belief and behavior strengthens self-respect, and self-respect is one of the foundations of real confidence. On the other hand, when someone constantly acts against their own values, they often experience internal conflict. That conflict can weaken their sense of security because deep down they know something is not aligned. Living with integrity helps eliminate that conflict. Finally, secure people often learn to accept that they cannot control everything. Life brings unexpected events: success, failure, praise, criticism, opportunity, and loss. Some of those things are outside our control. When someone tries to control everything, they often become anxious and frustrated. But a secure person focuses on what they can control: their character, their effort, their decisions, and their response to circumstances. This perspective creates resilience. When difficulties come, they do not collapse. When success comes, they do not become arrogant. Their identity is not tied to temporary situations. In the end, being secure in oneself is not about believing you are better than others. It is about being at peace with who you are. It means you understand your value without needing constant validation. It means you are willing to grow without being crushed by mistakes. It means you can appreciate others without feeling threatened. When someone develops that kind of security, they often become calmer, kinder, and more stable. They build stronger relationships because people sense authenticity and trust. And perhaps most importantly, they experience a deeper sense of peace. Because the strongest confidence does not come from being superior to others. It comes from knowing who you are, living according to your values, and standing firmly in that identity, regardless of changing circumstances. That is what it truly means to be secure in oneself.